Hey, y'all. Hope everybody's having a good day today. Sorry, I've been kind of oddball on the schedule and what have you. You can usually tell when I'm when I don't have a video ready because I do a live stream. So I see we've already got quite a few people here watching live in the chat. Um, we got Making Sawdust. We have John Michaud. We have hey, Eloy from Rockin' Woodworks. How you doing, Eloy? Charles Steed, Matt from Awesome Wood Things, John Morrow. Thanks for joining me this morning, y'all. I really do appreciate it. Stinky potatoes. Well, I don't know if I'm the CNC king. I know what I use. I know what I have, and that's about it. Um, Today is going to be kind of a little bit different in that I'm going to talk. I'm not going to talk so much about the CAD CAM software as I'm going to talk about YouTube. And what I mean by that is I get a lot of questions from folks about that might seem basic to those of us who are used to working with YouTube. Um, and new folks join all the time. New folks find videos all the time. And I'm getting a lot of questions from folks who stumble across, say, part 20 of the Absolute Beginner series, and they want to know how to go back and start from the beginning. So I figured what I'd do is I'd spend a few minutes, kind of show folks a little bit of navigation around the YouTube platform, because basically put, if you don't know, you don't know. And just get a few things out there, let folks see how to navigate this. I've got some friends who are experienced YouTubers and YouTube viewers, and I showed them a few things the other day that they didn't know. They didn't really understand that it existed. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here real quick. If I can find it. Oh, yeah, it's a little bit different. Okay. And for instance, I'm looking right here at this live Q&A session. I have it muted, so we're not really, I'm not hearing feedback and listening to myself. But what a lot of folks don't know is that if you're watching a YouTube video here, that you can just come down, put your cursor right here over the person's name who created the video, and that's a link. You click that name and you go to that channel. Now, obviously, I've come to my own channel, and so I've got a few things here that you wouldn't see. But if you look right down here, you'll see videos. And if you click on that link, here's a list of all the videos that the person that, in this case me, that the person has made. And you can just go down the list, see if any videos here apply to you, look and see, what kind of goofy thumbnails and what kind of weird pictures they put up or what have you. But if the person pays a little bit of attention, like I try to do, they'll take all these videos and they'll put them into a selection of playlists. Now, the playlists, you'll see these links stay up here at the top. And right now I'm looking at the videos I've created, and I can come over here to playlists, and that'll give you a list of all of the playlists that I've put together on my channel. Now, you won't see the playlist of the videos that I've liked, simply because I choose to keep that private. That's not really pertinent to the discussion. But like here, I've got 3D carving for beginners. I've got a little bit about my K40 laser. I've got all my channel updates go into another playlist. And if I click on these arrows here, I can kind of scroll through the different playlists I have. And these are the ones that folks are asking me about. I have a 4-part mini series on VCarving for the absolute beginner using the Vectric software. And here's the big one. It's the CNC for the Absolute Beginner playlist. So if I come up here and I click on view full playlist, it opens up a page with everything starting from number 1 in order all the way down for all of the videos that I've done in this series. And that's let me hide that real quick. That's a quick way to navigate and go back and see what you've missed and just watch them in order. So you can just click on a video here and it'll take you to that very first video and go from there. Now, this is obviously on a PC. I'm not 100% up to speed on the mobile platform. I'm not sure about the mobile apps, but there should be something very similar for the tablet or the phone version of the YouTube app. But it's all based on clicking that person's name, the content creator's name, and going over to their channel where you can subscribe or just scroll back through their video selections. Now you can see right here, it starts with the latest release and works its way backwards. So shut that off. I'll go ahead and click on this one here and bring us back to the live Q&A, and I can see what you're talking about in the chat here. So I see Javi has joined us. I see a few other folks have come on in. Dennis Davis, CNC Swede. CNC Swede's got a good channel. Y'all need to go check him out. He's got some good stuff there. Of course, you know, Rockin' Woodworks. I'm serious. He just created one of the absolutely coolest videos I've seen in a long time, where he turned and carved a honeybee and then poured the wings made out of epoxy resin. It's a cool video. Come over here and hit these 3 dots. Click on that and you see right there it says go to channel. I right click and then open the link in a new tab, and that'll take you to his channel where you can check out this awesome sculpture that he made. Oh, come on. There it is right there. It's an absolutely awesome video. And I mean, it's killer. You really need to check it out. Okay, let me get out of screen share mode here. I've done enough talking about that. We can kind of go through and talk a little bit about a little bit more having to do with YouTube. As new people come along, it's sometimes difficult to get information out to everybody, especially when there are so many coming all at once. I mean, I can't tell you the number of emails and private messages and message requests I get in a day. And that's not bragging. It's just to say that there are a whole bunch of people coming in. So I figured this video was an easy way to get it all out there all at once and let folks decide for themselves. So other than that, I really don't have a heck of a lot to say. So if anybody has any CAD CAM questions dealing with the Vectric software, you can put them over in the chat. I mean, if it's a fairly simple question, I'll do my best to ask. So, oh no, William Devlin, you got to go fly Amazon packages. I'm not even going to ask what that means. All right, Restorer 66 has joined in. My Naughty Wood Crafts. Does anybody have any questions at all? Anybody have any questions at all? Just throw them over there in the chat and we'll get to going on them. So, How about okay, Eloy's asking me, how about the subscription tabs and all that over on the home page? Okay, well, let me go back over here and screen share again, and I can do that. Let's go here, and we'll go back over here to this video, obviously, that we're working with. And you can just hit the YouTube link right up here. Just about everything up here is a link of one form or another. And if you click on that YouTube link, that'll take you back to the YouTube homepage. And if you have watched any YouTube videos at all, you'll see they'll make a few recommendations. And as you can, based on what they think you're interested in. And as you can see, I mean, I've got everything from old cars to woodworking to music and what have you. Look at this, Eloy. I've got Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan up on the same search. And a few suggestions as to what they think you'll want to see. But if you're subscribed to a few channels, this is one of those things that I was showing a couple of experienced YouTubers. You look along this side over here, and you'll see a menu. Here's all the people you're subscribed to in alphabetical order. But if you want to see your subscription feed and see what they have uploaded here recently, you come over to where it says subscriptions, click on that link, and these are the most recent posts by the people that you are subscribed to. And it goes in order, the most recent versus, obviously it goes older the further you scroll down. And you see CNC with Dave here. He went live last night. Excellent show. If you are interested in a laser for your hobby CNC, Dave is your man. If you're not subscribed to Dave Gatton, you really should be. This guy here, he is my CNC Obi-Wan. I mean, he taught me everything I know. I know he didn't teach me everything he knows, but he taught me everything I know, and it's just working with Dave especially, but a few other folks as well. Serious, if you're not subscribed to Dave, I'll just say it, you're just wrong. If you're new to CNC or even old to CNC, this man has forgotten more about CNC than I've ever learned. So to get back over to the YouTube homepage, you can either click on home here or you can just click on YouTube. And that'll set you back to where you need to be. So, but now I get to go back over to my channel so I can get back over to you and see what you're saying in the chat. So we'll get over here. There we go. All right. As I said, it's pretty basic information, but I do get a lot of questions about it. How do I go back and find your old animals? Animals? How do I go back and find your own? I don't know where that came from. Find your own videos. I know what I'm doing. I'm reading the chat as it goes along here. Yes, Hobby, you're right. CAD stands for colloquial ant digging. You know, it's those are the people who melt down aluminum and pour them down anthills. So I don't know. It sounded good. So does let's see. Naughty Woodcraft says I use CanBam and it was rather difficult to learn. Took a couple of years and I'm still learning. Does Vectric have a steep learning curve? In my experience, Vectric probably has one of the most gentle learning curves that I have ever come across. I was introduced to the PC and to AutoCAD in the same week of 1997. And I'm not an expert with any software, but I've become an expert in trying to learn software. I forgot more about AutoCAD than I ever learned. Trying to learn things like AutoCAD, different video editing softwares, oh, good grief, SolidWorks, Rhino. When it comes to being able to get in, learn the software package, actually create some vectors, calculate toolpaths, and produce G-code, I think that Vectric is probably the easiest I've come across. I'll do another quick screen share here and bring up VCarve to show you what I'm talking about. And it's the way it's laid out. Now, this is VCarve Pro version 9.5, and I've been using it since version 8. And I've already created a new file and have my work material. This is a representation of my work material out here in the center of the designing window. Everything is basically laid out where you think it would be. I mean, you've got a section here for creating vectors, whether that be simple shapes or straight lines or arcs or curves or polylines, transforming objects and editing objects, offsetting and laying out various objects. It's all pretty intuitive. Vectrics themselves have an excellent base of tutorials that you can access by going up here to help. And the third item down is the video tutorial browser. You click on that and it opens up a browser window, and you can view it by category or by project, and they break it down into getting started. These are some of the basics that you'll work with in the software. Drawing vectors, 2D tool pathing. They'll get down into 2.5D tool pathing, and then 3D tool pathing and carving, then into general topics. They are very good tutorials, and I still use them. I dive into them if I need a refresher, or if there's something that I haven't done very often and I need to get back into it. But overall, in general, it's extremely easy to get started in, and the learning curve is very, very gentle. You can overwhelm yourself with information, but probably the best advice I could give you is to dive into the tutorials and work with the tutorials. Go along with them. Now, let's see. Was there anything else come up here? Can you make a 90-degree V-bit cut deeper manually? Yes, you can. Generally speaking, there's a few ways of making it cut deeper, most of which has to do. Wow. This is kind of a difficult question to answer right now, because you would have to go back and look at part 1 of that 4-part mini series on V-carving for the absolute beginner, because in that series I explain how the depth of cut is determined. Now, if you're carving a simple, let's go ahead and just make a rectangle here, and I'll go ahead and tool path that. If you're talking about carving just this simple rectangle, I would do a profile tool path, set my cut depth to whatever I wanted it to do, and select my V-bit, say a 90-degree, and machine it on the vector. Come down, calculate, and then preview it. And that would carve it to the depth that I've selected. Now, if you're talking about a VCarve toolpath, it's quite a bit different, mainly because the way V-carving works is based on, let me go ahead and do another rectangle here. And I'm going to purposely get closer down here. Well, further away down here. A V-carving toolpath is based on the space between this vector and this vector. So if I were to select both of these and do a V-carving toolpath, the bit would plunge in and carve to a certain depth here, but with this spacing being wider apart, further apart here, the bit would come over to this corner and then plunge deeper to cut wider as it got down here, and then cut wide here and then cut shallower up in this area, because it's based on the width between these two vectors. And there is no real way of making it manually cut deeper here than it would over here, simply because it's based on this width. Now, you can cheat the system and you can fool it into thinking that it's cutting to the right depth and forcing it to cut deeper in your controller software, whether you use Mach 3 or something. Something else, UCC and UC CNC, or even Linux CNC. But that gets into the controller software, and that's way outside of the scope of what I'm doing here now. But yeah, you can force it, but it takes a little bit of work, and it's really outside of the scope of anything that I could address right now. But I will put that on the list. So let me go back over here and see what we got going. I have some fonts that don't show very well when V-carved with a 90-degree V-bit. Can the start depth be used for this? It can. You can adjust your start depth when you're tool pathing it. But what that will tend to do, you've got to be careful doing that, because it could make the carving bleed over into other areas that you don't want it to carve deeper to. Basically, the easiest way to get a V carving to carve deeper than it's carving is to change over to a bit with a steeper angle. So maybe switching over from a 90-degree V-bit to a 60-degree V-bit would be better in this situation. So Making Sawdust says, I had a question earlier in the chat with regards to Autodesk Fusion 360. I did not see your question, Making Sawdust, but do know I don't use Fusion 360. So I know little to zero about it. Let me you see here. No, I do not have any experience with using Fusion for a small CNC, but a lot of people use it. A lot of people like it. What I found was Fusion 360 is actually a very, very good program for what it does. It's just know that it's a very, very big hammer. So if you're going to be doing a lot of parts for assemblies, Fusion 360 is probably the program for you. It does have a steep learning curve because it has so many options, and it's an Autodesk program. So Autodesk is the maker of AutoCAD, and so if you've had any experience with AutoCAD at all, you know what I'm talking about when I say you've got so many options, it can get confusing. You might look up Lars Christensen on YouTube. Just come up into a YouTube page, and you'll see up at the top the search bar right next to the YouTube logo, and type in Lars Christensen. He's got a lot of Fusion 360 videos if you're for beginners that are just getting started. but I don't use it myself. I don't need it. It's a very big hammer for what I'm doing. So I hope that answers your question. My Naughty Woodcrafts, can you design 3D in VCarve, or do you need Aspire for that? You need Aspire for that. VCarve Pro or desktop has never been a 3D program. Um, it's and it's odd to me the amount of 3D capability they have put into it. It was never meant to be as 3D friendly as it's become. But Vectric has realized that a lot of people want to just carve 3D, but they don't either have the time, the skills, or the knowledge to design their own 3D files. So they've added a lot of 3D capability to VCarve so that you can import and carve an STL file. But in order to edit it more than just say size or the depth, or to create a 3D file, you do need Aspire. And Aspire is the top of the line. I hope to get it soon and get into it and start learning how to model in Aspire and hopefully get doing videos on it. But it's not in the cards just yet, but I'm working on it. So yeah, making sawdust. He says he's quite fluent with Autodesk and primarily focused on three-dimensional parametric modeling. Yeah, if you're into doing that type of modeling, Fusion 360 is really hard to beat. It's just, for me, it's more than I need. So I'm not into making assemblies or making machines, basically. And it's brilliant at that. I can see people using it for a CNC mill, let alone just a, CNC router. So, and I'm sure people do use it. So it just, if you're not experienced with it, just know it has a pretty steep learning curve. But it's a brilliant program. It's just more than I need. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and kind of wind this down. I wanted to keep this at less than a half an hour, mainly for my own personal selfish reasons. Those of you who follow me on Facebook know I have a pork shoulder on the smoker and I got to go check it. So that's inside baseball, but what the heck. So I hope I answered some YouTube questions for those of you who didn't know. If you got anything at all out of this, or you think somebody else needs to know this information, by all means, right underneath this panel, you'll see the share button. Click that share button and share it on your social media. If you got anything out of it, give me a thumbs up right here below the video panel. And I hope you've subscribed. If not, I'd love to have you along. We'll get back to regular videos next week. I've got a choice between two different videos. I haven't decided on which one, but it will either be, well, I'm not even going to give that away. So we'll just get back to regular videos next week. Thank you for spending a little bit of your Sunday with me, and hope you all have a great week. Get out there and make some chips and have some fun. Bye, y'all.